Good morning, everybody. It's Thursday, March 7th. We're going to do our prep today. It's open for both elite and professional subscribers. Just a quick reminder that derivatives trading is inherently risky and past performance is not indicative of future gains. So we'll start with kind of morning prep here. Dave, no, there's not, at least not one we can do on Sierra there. It's just on really only in one place for us to look, but it's something to keep track of on there. So I will try to keep an eye on both rooms for any questions that anybody has. We can start. So overall picture, big catalyst is tomorrow with NFP. So today is more likely to be a risk off scenario rather than like a strong risk on. Let me check like early quote board and other signs at the moment. Yeah, slightly positive, but nothing standing out that we should be seeing a strong outsized move. And in terms of a business, you wouldn't put a lot of risk on right before something major, and that's what we have tomorrow with NFP. So I do want to bring this up. We've been talking about this a lot. I've been doing the videos on this each week. I hope somebody caught this last night, but the yen, perfect breakout of our zone that we've been talking about. And this is now what we're going to watch closely. It's so that was, once we got over the what had been the red line here, the 6724, then I've got the upper levels here that we would look for, but at least for today, and I can post this chart for anybody who wants it. But we're finally getting that breakout. So we've been talking about this is likely to happen for weeks, knew the level to watch, and now we're getting that breakout. Big thing, we've talked about the gravity of this, kind of on a macro perspective. This will take time to play out, but it's one of the early headwinds that we need to be aware of. So I don't know if anybody was able to catch part of that. It's about the same size, I think, tick value as a full size ES contract. So that may be too large for people based on risk parameters. Your stop though can usually be about 2 to 4 ticks. So about a point. So depending on how small you can get it, you may be able to get one contract. 2 ticks would be like $25-$30. We'll start here with a little more high level before we get into these. So the dollar came right down to our lower level we talked about yesterday on prep. And this is what I was looking for, was if that bounced, that would be the downside look in the market. And again, because we don't have anything too strong, we can't use that, immediately, but you would then start looking, and this happened at 12, then the market began selling off about 80 minutes later, around 120, 130. Same thing today that I'm going to look for is very big picture. I'm going to look for 102.80 on the dollar. If we come down there and then it starts to bounce, I would look for downside in the market. Otherwise, if it starts to bounce, I would look for 103.50 or 103.80. And then if that begins to turn back down on the dollar, then we would look for upside in the market. Gold has had a nice markup, kind of range bound. I can extend this. In terms of zone, I'm looking at 2172 on the upside, 2135 on the downside. We should spend some time balancing out on this and finding some kind of value starting after the big markup that has occurred. And something you guys can use, I've mentioned this in passing, and for elite students, if this is something you want to start doing, we can definitely dive into this more. I know we've talked about the 10-year before and the importance of it. And This is a good proxy for gold as well. So GC in the 10-year. And I am happy to share that chart book or go over anything you guys want, in terms of applying gold and the 10-year together. So we'll start today here. I'll do CL first. And maybe Dave will have some. I know Dave's our resident oil trader here. Maybe he'll have some questions or see things a little differently. If I turn these off for a second, we've got our big level 80.79. So we're looking bigger picture. Oil's been, on that uptrend. We're seeing the volatility coming down, and that is typically a bullish sign. I posted some notes for anybody who didn't see those yet yesterday in the elite room. Just things I'm watching on oil right now. But for today, 77.92 is kind of where I would look if we keep coming down for like an ideal long. Could consider this level as a long at 78.42, depending on what the setup shows. If we break out below the blue, I'm likely not to trade this. I would look for support to develop here, but I'm not as inclined. I'm looking at least for the range level to hold, and then to get a move up, to one of these upper levels. On the upside, that 80.79 is kind of our probability high, and that's what I would look for as a potential fade of the market. Otherwise, in terms of oil, let's see what else we have. So the only other level that I have written down in my notes that I would consider a trade on, so these two, and then over 79.58, and looking for continued upside. So this would be a trading level for me today. These two, this, and potentially, depending on what the setup is like, as you guys know, because it's all contextual, the setup could be here at 80.19. Those would be my only two shorts today. These would be the longs on oil that I'm looking for. In bigger picture, I'm still waiting for that move to 82, and then we'll see where we go beyond. Dow has kind of started rolling over before the rest of the markets have. So we'll see if that continues. Our high expectations today are 39.50, so 39,050. So up here, low end would be 38,435, which is going to be down at this lower edge. Those would be, again, two edges I look to trade. Because I'm, again, with context of the day, context of catalyst coming, State of the Union tonight, NFP tomorrow, again, looking more for some kind of rotational balancing kind of setup today is the most likely for me. We could see wider swings on a risk off, but I still expect more of a balanced kind of day to develop. And so with that, I really focus on these edges now, given everything else with market state and where we are. I would consider a long here and potentially one if we get over 38,920, although then the setup has to be really clean, because the risk reward is really good as we get at these lower levels. At the uppers, it starts becoming skewed. So just overall trend in the market is up, and so we want to focus on longs more than shorts and be really precise with what we're doing. On the Russell, we're definitely balancing, so these levels haven't really changed. Small fluctuations. Again, our lowest level was in 1993, then it went up to 2003. Now that kind of line in the sand is around 2023, and it just keeps pushing higher. 2100 is going to be a major area to watch. for anybody trading the Russell. Remember that there is the M2K that you can trade, which is about the same size as the micro ES. It's each point is $5, but there are 10 ticks in a point on this, and so it's a little bit different as far as value, but that's just something to keep in mind if you do start adding this instrument in the trade as well, to pay attention to. I do use a 500 volume on this. I use a 350 on the Dow. That's the big difference in those charts. But, kind of more of the same here on the Russell. I would look for, an extreme trade on one of these ends. I would look for an extreme trade on one of these. And then again, could look for the continuation outside, but the risk reward here, given the current ranges and the volatility, just really aren't as strong. And so really waiting for those edges is going to be better on this one today. NASDAQ here. And if there's anything you guys want me to go over particularly or have questions about, please let me know. So NASDAQ, in terms of where we are, is yesterday we came down pretty much to the low end, or I'm sorry, Wednesday. Yesterday we came down to the quarter end of our range. The straight up move since London Open is going to change positionings a little bit, because that's going to be based on prior day's close. I mean, it would be 100 points different if we open up here. We still have an hour and a half before the open, but that's just something to be aware of, especially when we talk about the other flow standpoints that we monitor. Is, we could open in an area that brings in a certain, a certain kind of flow. So whether it's selling or buying, and that's going to be something you guys really want to pay attention to, especially when we get these bigger moves. Now, with this range on Globex, I think at least in the ES, that is a 40 points or so was last night, 40 half, 41 quarter is Globex, which is a little bit more than what our average daily range has been over the last couple weeks, and bigger than yesterday's range. And so that kind of sets up, if I'm looking for risk off, that gives me some parameters to use that I can bring through. So my trades on the NASDAQ today, I'm looking for those extreme moves. The only one, again, that would be contextual would be here, depending on the setup and if it's there. Otherwise, looking for the longs to continue outside or longs at the lower ends. That's really it on the NASDAQ for today. And I will post any of these charts that you guys want or need. But those would be my trades on the NQ today. And then ES, same thing. So we'd go for the lower edges. And, again, this is going to be our critical zone. Breaking 50.71 and actually really 50.60 is going to be the sign that, then things could change in the market. Otherwise, don't anticipate that change and expect more of the same. And so longs are, in terms of risk reward, are going to be better down here, although we could take either of these on the short side. And again, the last one for all of these is the contextual one that depends on where the setup is as the day moves. But I would look for 51.47 if it pushes that high as kind of the mean reversion location. Otherwise, 51.36 could be as it was yesterday, but I think we'd run that most likely. Any questions at the moment? Anything you guys want more detail on, and like I said, I'll post any of these that you guys need or want. I know that the dollar was one yesterday. Some people had overlooked, so I will post this in the elite room for you guys so you have the levels there. Nobody has any questions at the moment? All right, Saint. I figured you wouldn't leave me hanging there. What what are you guys looking at most today? What instrument are you? I know Dave's probably looking at oil. Raphael's probably looking at NQ, but what are you looking for in particular? Um, because remember, as long as we hold, from our flow standpoint, as long as we hold, uh, you know, around 20 today, we pull a seller out of the market. If we, um, you know, systemics today are likely to be sellers all throughout. And you guys do see that? I hope I can post that if needed. But for the most part, we are looking at, I don't know if this will copy well. That definitely did not copy. Um, we're looking at likely more headwinds than support at the moment. And so, given our given environment and everything, we'd look for longs over the shorts, but we have to be aware of what those flows are telling us. And so, that's really what we need to be aware of. Because tomorrow is going to change. As of right now, tomorrow will be very supportive and the most supportive day this week. And we saw that same thing play out yesterday, where we had, or not yesterday, last week, where we knew on Monday all those flows were going to be strong on Friday. And then we saw the biggest move of the week on Friday. Tomorrow's our big catalyst. So that's what we want to watch. Let me see. Just saw one in the professional room here. Not to repeat the whole idea. It looks like we will test higher level on the ES. Yeah, so what we're watching right now on the ES, the big levels that I'm going to watch are going to be 51.46 and 51.36. These two, this yellow box and blue box, and I can post this chart in the room for you. So you see this, because that'll have the levels on it. Overall, today we're looking at a likelier risk off scenario with a big catalyst right around the corner. So if we rank what potentials we have, it's a balancing day in terms of auction market theory, and then the next likelihood would be an upside move, and so that's why we'd limit our shorts to the edges, or at least I do. Longs are going to be at these levels here. I'm not really looking for anything beyond 51.36 to go long. If I'm not positioned already here, I would wait then for the short. I would position at any of these four levels for longs, depending on how the setup is. And I know that you just joined us, and there are videos. I know one was done by Mergood on how to use how to set up the charts and then how to execute around those. So you're welcome to watch those as well to get familiar with our process. But this is what I'm looking at on ES. We could end up spending most of the day kind of more rotational in terms of between this yellow and this yellow. So something like this, if that's the case, um, I have a potential short location here. However, the setup has to be really clean. But I'm looking for us to stay sideways, at least as of now. We would analyze that after the open, based on what is coming in and how things are changing. We could come up to around 40 again. 47 is where that kind of area is what I'm looking for as a potential short location. Where did I get 84 to 87? This down here, so the lower yellow zone, is that what you're asking about, Dave? Yeah, so that I will I'll highlight some things on a separate chart and then post it for you in the elite room here. Um, so let me know if this is clear for you. So it's confluence. Again, when we're building those levels, I'm looking for as many confluence points as we can find. And that's, yeah, so we have, just one, two, th three different references. Well, I guess four total. So three of the same and then one different there, but that's where that 84 to 87 level comes from. And also on your updated study, if we look, Dave, so let's see when there we go. So you can see also, Dave, that was the, kind of last bid overnight. We could see where the bid was going to start coming in based on, yesterday's close. And that's also part of the alignment there. Yeah. So that's what we'd look for. Again, we're looking, I'm looking for potentially up to 47, 48, but I'm expecting more of a balancing day. So I would look for this to come back and find some kind of, uh, some kind of balance, some kind of value in that area. But this will also tell us a lot based on how today behaves, because more importantly, the better moves are likely to come tomorrow after NFP, and this is going to set us up for that. So we'll be able to compare where we are in our ranges, which will adjust the risk reward for us. And then we'll see the updated flows tomorrow, which we already know that, from the systemic side, it's going to be positive. From the the updated moves throughout the day, we'll have to see what those position us for at the end of the day, but that's going to depend a lot on, where we close in relation to our range. And then obviously what happens in Globex tomorrow night, or I guess tonight. What other any other questions from anybody else? Raphael, you got any on the NQ that you want, or anything you want to review from yesterday's trades? Again, tomorrow we'll do NFP and we will do live trading as well. Today is just a little bit of prep. And also I did post about kind of what happened in the afternoon yesterday. Was that clear for everybody? The marked up chart. post some of these other charts to give people a few minutes to post any questions. Okay, so I just posted a bunch of those into the professional room, and I will post some into the public room a little bit later. But what, I guess anything that wasn't clear yesterday or in the afternoon reviewing what when the market dropped, do you guys have anything that you want to go over specifically on that? And then this weekend, if you guys want, we can get more detailed into the macro and the yen. Because again, we're getting our nice, you know, nice breakout there that we've been looking for right at the level, and very low risk, high reward on that. Now, again, if you are going to venture into currencies, I would suggest starting with like the M6A or the M6E, so the Australian dollar or the euro, because those have micros. But if your account has the margin, or if you can get a small enough stop, um, something in for me on the yen, I would say a small stop would be 4 ticks, which would be about 1 point on the ES, because they're the same. But this move that we've been waiting for be almost, I think, around 135, 140 ticks. So around $1,700-$1,800 a contract. And if you can get this is why, when we talked about these, if you can get the small enough stop, it's worth it. And again, we can go through all the analysis, and I can share the chart book with you guys again for anybody who doesn't have it. But this is going to be your big sign to watch, moving forward. So let's see, ECB came out right in line with expectations. In 20 minutes, their president speaks. And so again, so Lagarde is like the Powell of the ECB. And so that will carry some weight as we head into the open. Powell does speak at 10 again. Again, the bigger ones that I've got to watch on the calendar are going to be tonight when Biden speaks. And really I'm not going to be trading or anything at that point. It's really all for what happens tomorrow for NFP, because after that, we don't have any catalysts the rest of the day. And so then we can expect the market to open up a bit more. So any questions you guys have at all, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, we can probably end this session. If there's any other charts that I had showed that you want me to post an image of, let me know. I like the drawing you did on your chart, Saint. I just saw that. Yeah, the one thing to watch too, because and I know we've talked about this before, um, and I'll post some other notes in the room for you guys, but remember Nvidia is leading this charge, and so you want to keep an eye on that. Before we're going to see any kind of major shift, on a big picture, we're likely going to have to see the AI craze slow down. Otherwise, again, expect more of the same. So, okay, well, let's check in. Don't see any questions in the professional room either. Okay, well, if there's no other questions, guys, if you do have any throughout the day, I will be around today. Just tag me. Happy to help. Otherwise, we will start tomorrow. Check what time I set that for. 8 o'clock. We'll probably go through the prep and everything quickly, and then be ready to position ourselves or trade for NFP when that comes out at 8:30. And then I figure we'll probably keep the live session open tomorrow until maybe 10:30 or 11. We'll do live trading throughout. But if you guys need anything today, just let me know. And otherwise, make sure you're sticking to your plan, stick to your process. I can't emphasize that enough. That's where, again, when we go through the courses and we've developed the process, that's what helps us not get emotional, not chase, not panic. And you really need to lean into that. I know several of you have been doing very well lately, and I know several have gotten new PAs. Really focus on the process and the emotional side. But if you guys need anything, again, we'll always be around to help. Other than that, though, have a good day trading, and we will do this again tomorrow.